Colleagues, hi again. Now we have extremely interesting panel, and actually expecting it, I think, the most. So we will be talking to fintechs and traditional banks, and both, I think, have parts of each other. So definitely the world in the previous couple of years have changed banking dramatically, mainly because of the appearance and born of fintech companies and fintech banks. And the traditional bank will never be the same. However, it is absolutely clear that fintechs and traditional banking should partner together in order to achieve a shared success. And now we see a trend when also traditional banks are trying to enter the space of digital banks and compete with them in this sphere. So let me introduce the next panel. And we have two absolutely amazing and exciting speakers. Vlad Yatsenko, one of the founders of Revolut, and Petr Krumphanzl, CEO of Privat. Vlad, Petr, hi, it's a pleasure to see you. So my first and very short question to you, what is new normal for you personally? Petr?
Well, I would say that we are working in the new times, and many people say that this is a crisis. I wouldn't say so. From my point of view, we live in the times that are changing all the time, and we have to be ready for the changes. What it means? If somebody tells me that this is a crisis, I will say no, this is an opportunity. This is a moment when the companies have the chance to change the business model. They have the chance to start to do things better in different ways.
Vlad?
So from my perspective, obviously there are two aspects to the whole situation. One is related clearly the health issue that is affecting a lot of people, and this is not a good thing. And hopefully, we, as the world, will be able to come out of this situation very soon and find a cure for this. But otherwise, the situation proved that digitalization that started by many industries and by banking specifically since the crisis in 2008 it came to this point that it was very important to be prepared, right? And companies who were prepared were not affected as much in terms of their operations, because in the first place, the new normal is really the working environment for most of companies. Of course, the economy was hit and economic activity decreased in many cases. A lot of businesses need help, but at the end of the day, if people can continue working, the business will continue, right? So shift to remote work, digital environments, that is the main thing I would say.
So
if I can add a little bit, basically, I would say that the things are changing both in the positive direction as well as in negative. Depends how you see it. As an example, if we look at our activities that we do in the bank, then, for example, number of the transactions at the cash desk decreased by 45%. And this is clearly something what some may consider negative, but in the terms of the long-term development, I think this is a good thing for the people as well as for the bank. And it has positive impact because if the organization is ready for the change, then you can have a positive impact. And talking for PrivatBank, for example, for the first half of the year, we have added 1.6 new active clients. So do we talk about crisis? No, this is a really opportunity. It's the opportunity to change. It's the opportunity to become better, to serve the clients better, and to develop the business, though in slightly different direction than what we did before.
Petr, thank you. So let me ask you, you as the leaders, yes, and your teams, how you work now Do you work all remotely, or you split your teams into the groups? And what is the plan for the future? So will you change your way of working and interacting with your teams? Vlad?
Sure. For us, the change has been too drastic because we operate across many countries. Most of teams are distributed. It means I don't think there is a single team in Revolut that is purely located in one location. So due to this kind of that used to be business as usual for us, and what changed is the flexibility for people where they are located. They don't have to be in the office. Right? Through COVID, no one could be in the office in the first place. But even now, we introduced new policy when we open the offices. Obviously there is limited space because of the distance people have to keep, etc. But there's no any more requirement. People can work from a different city if they want, as long as they can be online, right? So having internet is the main requirement to be at work currently.
Okay, and how is Privat doing here with all your branches and a lot of people working from the
we have different approach. It depends on the function of the people. If we look at the branch network, then we have some limitations, but generally the branch network works as it used to work in the past. We have different rules, but we serve the clients because this is what the clients expect. If we talk about the headquarters, then majority of the people work remotely. This is for the security reasons. And also we have reorganized the work in a way that the remote work is efficient. Though, of course, as we are a big organization, we have teams that work on site, people that are responsible for the critical infrastructure, management, and these are a few groups, but generally I would say roughly 90% of employees in the headquarters are working remotely.
I see you're in the office now, Petr.
I'm in the office, yes. I'm in the office every day. For me, this is important because still I have to do things that require physical presence. Therefore, yes, I'm in the office almost every day.
Okay. Vlad, a question to you as kind of Revolut is definitely a pan-regional bank present in many, many markets. And you face different competition, yes, at these markets. Probably you see the competition from newborn fintechs of different region, but also the competition from already traditional banking, which is trying to enter the space. Tell us a little bit, what do you expect from this kind of competition? How serious is this and how it's challenging for your business model? And what do you think could be the next big disruptive force that will appear in the fintech market? So how do you feel now?
Sure. I'd say so we are predominantly European business, but we have ambition to become a global business, to be present on every continent. And this is where this period affected us to a degree when we went into different markets where there was new competition. I'm talking about America. Predominantly, we launched in Southeast Asia as well. Although Europe is still ahead in terms of fintech development. Maybe that gave us good boost, and we're still confident that we'll be having strong positions in those markets. But generally, answering your question directly, so as you said, there are two angles here. One is fintechs, and with fintechs, if you consider the current environment, there is clearly less funding, so the competition, I would say, I don't see much competition going on. There's a number of local players in different markets, more niche players. This always will exist, and this is normal. for us, we're building mass product. We changed our direction towards super app, because just having simplistic product with an account, budgeting tool and a card, this is not enough anymore. So we diversified our products quite significantly. Through COVID, our products around investment into stocks, cryptocurrency, etc., were quite popular. Especially in this time, still when people spend a lot of time at home, look what to do with their money. They don't spend as much, right? So this diversification gives us a lot of opportunity, and defines our competition in a way that is very much segmented, right? There's maybe the biggest competition would be coming from America and Asia. Again, those super apps in Asia that do everything, right? But they have challenge stepping out of China, right? From banks, as we said, banks are catching up in terms of offering digital services, but banks just historically, because of the size of organizations, etc., they have not been set up for this. It's a slow process still, so I don't see competition from incumbent banks.
That's good. So as you just talked about your kind of plans on the expansion, including US, do you have any plans to expand to Southeast Europe and CIS and Ukraine, Georgia?
We definitely have these countries somewhere on the list, but not in the top priority at the moment.
Okay.
But it will depend on how situation. The one thing about Revolut is we, as an organization, we always try to be flexible, and when opportunity arises, we will always consider that, right? So depending how market changes. I mean, even this environment for us, the transition was, as I mentioned, quite smooth, where we put more focus on products that were more relevant in this environment. As I mentioned, investment, savings, and that was a winner.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we are looking forward really in any of the markets. Petr, I should ask this question because it's really natural. Privat, the largest bank, the leader in the market with the largest acquiring network, issuing portfolio, with the first in the country digital application Privat24, which you're permanently upgrading, and it evolves really rapidly with all the innovations you're doing. Are you a traditional bank or a fintech?
Well, I don't want to disappoint you, but we don't feel ourselves as a traditional bank, and we don't feel ourselves as a fintech. We are maybe somewhere in the middle. We like to call ourselves an IT company with the banking license. And the reason is that we have a different approach. On one side, yes, we are a very strictly regulated bank. On the other side, we try to offer the services that are usually proposed or offered by fintech companies. And this is also how we benchmark ourselves. We, on one side, benchmark ourselves to the best banks in Western Europe, in US. On the other side, we benchmark ourselves against the fintechs coming from China, from UK, from Germany. And we try to be comparable in the quality of the service and in the products with them. So we try to push forward the concept that is usually called O2O, offline to online. So we think that we have to offer both. We have to create opportunity for the clients to offer, to have and use the branches and the services that are offline, as well as through Privat24, as we have mentioned, we offer a number of other things where the more digital clients get what they need, what they expect.
Are you prepared if Revolut enters the Ukrainian market?
Yes, we are ready. We welcome the challenge.
Okay. Okay, thank you much.
Competition is always good.
Yes, so we are waiting. Petr, one more question. So in terms of all this COVID reality, what key muscles helped Privat to face COVID crisis comparing to other banks?
Comparing to other banks, well, first of all, we have our Privat24 application. And what we have seen during the first half of the year was the increase in the number of transactions by roughly 20%. So this was the result of us being prepared for such a situation. We have excellent and efficient digital channel that is secure, the clients know it, and they are happy to use it. So we got many new clients, and number of transactions grew very quickly. This is something what helped us very much. Second thing which helped us, we started to prepare ourselves a little bit earlier than majority of the market. So we followed very closely the situation in China. At the beginning of the year, when COVID came to Europe, we started to act ourselves. So in the moment when we have seen the first case of COVID in Ukraine, there was already a working group that prepared the new rules, the new processes, the new strategy, and this is what put us ahead of the other banks for maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, yeah, clear, thank you. Vlad, so it's a question to you. So I'm sure you're thinking about the strategy for the next year and for after COVID period. So do you think or do you believe that any features of the traditional banking you should incorporate in your business model within the next year? Or you go your way and you see your kind of future in purely digital format?
Yeah, it's a question. I think it should be obvious that going backwards is a no-go. Right?
Like opening branches, I don't know.
Exactly. This type of thinking is. I mean, this has already. The change has already started, right? So we're not going back for sure. There's no reason for us to do that. In terms of what could be from banks as a feature, what kind of feature? Doesn't look that much as we discussed. Banks catching up with where fintechs start innovation, and again, this is normal, right? This bell curve where new things start getting traction, then the whole market picks it up, right? The feature maybe, I don't know if you can call it a feature, the advantage of old banks, I would say the banks that exist for some time and survive financial crisis as well, is the amount of funds that they have, right? The fintechs, especially new fintechs, they have to raise funds, etc. And in the current economic environment, it's harder, right? Banks don't have to raise money. The old banks who sit on big amounts of cash. So this is maybe if you can call it a feature that some fintechs could borrow, but
okay.
For us, our fintechs specifically, they don't have a good business model, right? That are still looking into growth only, just growth at any cost. In fintech, it's not gonna take you probably too far, right? So we have realization of this ourselves, and we have goals to become profitable very soon.
And when you think which market to enter, yeah. So, what are the 3 things you are looking at this market, which finally makes your decision?
The first one is the similarity. So first one is the environment itself, how ready it is for digital services.
So
if we're talking about a market
penetration, yeah.
Yes. If we're talking about markets where the society is still cash-based, or these days it's kind of decreasing quite fast. But in some markets there will be a challenge to enter, or where regulators are not welcoming, right? Because financial services is still a regulated industry. You cannot just appear from nowhere, start offering financial services. So regulator welcoming new players to the market is another requirement. And third one would be the so far we found that our base set of services fits in most of countries. This is what we start usually with, and then we look how we can localize what of the services maybe gain more traction, or we need to introduce new services. In some markets, insurance could be a more popular product than trading, for instance, etc. So yeah, we look from this perspective. And an interesting example, this month we launched in Japan. Japan is cash-based mostly, right? Which is quite surprising. But the regulator in Japan are willing to change this, to change the status quo, and so we launched in Japan now and looking to change how people do finance in Japan as well.
Okay, thank you. It's really interesting. So now I would like to ask you to talk a little bit about small medium enterprises segment, because the whole world now is trying to support small businesses to survive in difficult COVID realities. And I know, for example, that Privat did a lot, having the largest portfolio in the country and probably in the region. And this is like the main doors to payments for all SMEs right now in the country. So, Petr, if you just tell us very quickly, how do you think you've been prepared to provide the right service for SMEs during the COVID? I know you did a lot to support them as a bank. And what do you think, how future could look for SME, and how banking should support small medium business to become stronger in the next year?
Okay, so of course I can start to talk about the special products and services we have done for SME, like giving them, for example, the credit holidays and similar things. But I think that what is more important is the approach. When the situation started with COVID, when we have seen the first impact, we started to communicate with the clients. And what we started to do was to have actively every day thousands of calls to the SME clients, asking them, what do you need? What is your situation? And we tried to tailor the service according to each client individually, because the situation was different client by client. There was a client who suddenly lost the business completely. There was a client where the number of clients temporarily decreased. Then the client basically changed the business model. And again, sometimes the business became even stronger than it was before. So what I believe was the key for us and for our client was the communication. Very open, very transparent, and more or less tailored to each client separately. How we help the client? We try to support their business model, and we can see across the board that the clients, meaning the SME companies, they are looking for a way how to serve their clients in the new reality, which very often means remote contact, which means delivery of the goods, which means cashless payments, and so on. And so this is what we do. We create for them newly designed functionality in Privat24. We give them the opportunity to use the cashless infrastructure. we try to bring it together with new trends. Like the example is the development of the face pay functionality that we do together with Visa, where the client of the SME can pay for the goods by the face. And just talking about this one, we plan to distribute to the SMEs more than 20,000 devices by the end of this year, which will allow to pay for the transaction just by the face identification. So we are looking for different ways how to support the clients. It is the technology, it is the contactless operations or communication, or however we call it. It is to give special conditions on the loans, and it is to monitor the market and to see how we can help and where.
Thank you very much, Petr. Vlad, quite similar question to you, but also if you can give us some perspective how SMEs surviving in Europe in principle, and what are kind of the main trends from banking and from Revolut to help them, if any.
Sure. From our perspective, there are maybe a couple of things that stood out. Is when the lockdown started, one thing happened when a lot of business shut down and people lost jobs, or companies were just cutting their costs, and again, a lot of people remained without jobs. What happened? We started seeing big growth in opening of new business accounts in Revolut. People sitting at home, they needed to. So those who didn't want just to go and get a fellow and some benefits from the government looked for opportunities and wanted to start a new business. For them, it was something, for many people, something they wanted to do for a long time, and suddenly they kind of didn't have much choice, right? But just to embrace it. So we've seen big growth in new accounts opened, especially in this environment where you cannot go to a branch, etc. You have to do everything online. So for Revolut to be one of the top choices for this. And another trend happened. We just in March alone, we had more than 50% increase in foreign exchange activity. Businesses started diversifying their portfolio in currencies because of the uncertainty in the markets, right? So there was another thing. Yeah, as we go, we in terms of it was great to hear that in PrivatBank things are going the way, supporting people in terms of payments, doing it remotely, etc. So for us, that these things existed, and we see spike. Obviously, there was a sharp decrease in card present transactions and increase in e-commerce transactions. So the volume of transactions shifted significantly towards e-commerce, right? And kind of for us, we didn't have to do much for that. In terms of issuing new cards as well, we've always had functionality of virtual cards. So that became more popular in this period, because you didn't have to wait for a card, just create your virtual cards and just start using them.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I have one more question, because earlier today, we had a panel with Oleg Gorokhovsky, who is the co-founder of Mono, and he asked to ask you a question. And the question is, when Revolut is planning to introduce credit cards? And if you have any
when we
plans.
plan to introduce credit cards.
Yeah.
Credit cards is recently, actually, we have run beta in a couple of countries. We looking, it's a matter of months when this is going to go full launch.
Okay,
It's,
in some markets,
credit cards,
right?
yeah, credit cards and lending, yes. Yeah.
Thank you much.
And then once we're launching that, and then we're going to escalate across the rest of the Europe.
So I have last question to you both, actually. Then we pass to the questions from the audience. And the question is actually about people. In terms of your hiring strategy and approach, whom you're looking for right now to hire, and who are these people, and what are the talents you are trying to find? So how to become an employee of Privat and of Revolut? Vlad, Petr, so.
Okay, so if I start, we are looking actually for a number of people. So we didn't go in the way as many companies to release the people on the market. We keep the headcount as it was at the beginning of the year. And we are looking for the people who can bring us something. Well, this is the common approach. We need somebody with added value. So we look for people that have a great knowledge of new technologies. These are primarily the people that we need in the area of the IT development, of the infrastructure development. And we look mainly for the people that know the latest technologies. We are looking for people that work with the people. As you may know, for us, the important part of the strategy is not only to work with the clients, but also with employees. We try to improve the working conditions. We try to make PrivatBank the number one employer on the market. So we are looking at the moment for the people in HR area that again can help us to improve the team, the working conditions and everything. And how to become the employee of PrivatBank? Well, we advertise the positions on our website. We advertise it on other websites. And if somebody would like to send us the CV, I think that it is very easy just to send it to the email of the bank.
And how many people are working now in Privat?
At the moment, we have more than 22,000 employees.
Okay, it's a lot.
We are very stable. The number is not changing for the past 2 years.
Great, absolutely. Vlad?
We grow the business, we make it more efficient, we grow dramatically the number of transactions, but we do it through the growth of the efficiency.
Of technology.
So the number of the employees remains the same, but the business is growing.
That's amazing result, Petr. Thank you. Vlad?
Sure. In our case, so hiring did change in this environment for us. We became more flexible, meaning we are not hiring people only in. So before we would still look for international candidates a lot, but now we widened our search. I think we opened for candidates from anywhere, literally, and we don't require candidates to relocate to cities where we have offices. So that simplifies a lot in this case, because as long as they can work in one of the countries where we operate, where we can hire people, we can hire people. That people can work from home if they're not willing to relocate. So that's opened the search kind of range for us for candidates, and yeah, we hiring as usual. Our top positions are in software development, in data analytics, machine learning. So these are top roles, and we have probably at least 100 of those open. Yeah.
And how many people are employed right now?
We're somewhere between, from top of my head, between 2,200 employees.
Okay, yeah. Thank you much. It was a great discussion, so I don't want to take the stage from the audience, and I think we have questions from our colleagues and from the participants, so please.
Thank you, Vira. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for being part of our forum. So the first question will be to Petr. How does traditional bank balance between security and innovations in 2020?
I wouldn't say this is a balance. This is a question that you have to do it both at once. So we are looking for the innovations around the world, and at the same time we understand that the security has to be on the global level as well. So this is not compromise. This is when you have new technology, new product, you have to find out how to make it absolutely secure. There is no other way. It is, of course, first of all, legal requirement, but secondary, it is also the responsibility of the bank in respect of the clients.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And the next question will be to Vlad. What is the key technological trend of the nearest post-pandemic future?
In what space? Is there any specification in what space?
Like blockchain and all those kind of things. Yeah.
Oh, trends. I don't want to repeat the news, right? But the trends have probably changed towards, if we're talking about blockchain specifically.
For example, yeah.
It's not as hot anymore as it used to be because of the how the use of cryptocurrencies changed, right? There hasn't been many successful blockchain projects either, right? And now, especially people in the current environment have become more pragmatic, looking into solutions that work in the first place, solve the problem that exists, they're prevailing. But technology-wise, I think what is happening in general, the trends is, like we need to think about technology in two ways. That is technology as an enabler of new businesses, for instance, right? And it's just as a technical technology, and the application of technology that maybe existed and then it started being applied in different contexts, in different industries. For financial services, this general trend that we happen to reuse a lot of technologies that was created in other areas, right? By often started by the big tech companies, and that is all around customer interaction with the product, right? We all do everything on the mobile applications now, using whatever the device itself can provide for different things, like security of managing your account, right? Offering products in more innovative ways. As examples would be, it's a lot easier to offer such services on the mobile device, and the trend continues. It started years ago towards mobile devices, and people interacting more with mobile devices because they're more personal and they're more like personal sandbox. It's easier to offer these kind of services exactly than on the web, for instance, right?
Thank you. Thank you, Vlad. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vlad. Thank you, Petr. Thank you very much, Vira, for hosting your panel.
Guys. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being part of our forum, ladies.